Watching KEVU 25 News Now at 10.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Amaya Norman.
And I'm Trenton Whiting.
A mass shooting in downtown Montgomery, Alabama left 2 people dead and a dozen other injured. Police said the incident happened around 11:30 p.m. when 2 groups opened fire on each other in the middle of a crowd. A total of 14 people were shot. 2 of those victims died and the rest were injured. Police said of the injured, 3 people are in life-threatening conditions.
I am so angry that I'm holding on to my composure right now because this was not a typical mass shooting that people typically read about. This was 2 parties involved that were basically shooting at each other in the middle of a crowd.
So far, no arrests have been made, but some individuals are being interviewed. An investigation is ongoing.
4 young children shot near Angleton, 2 killed and 2 others rushed to the hospital.
What investigators are saying about the woman now in custody, here are the latest.
We need multiple ambulances.
4 young children shot near Angleton. The Brazoria County Sheriff's Office says it responded to a call near FM 521 and 288B, but law enforcement says it doesn't believe this is where the shooting happened.
We're doing first aid. We're doing everything we can.
A 13-year-old and 4-year-old were shot and killed, and 2 others, ages 8 and 9, were taken to the hospital via life flight, but are stable, according to the sheriff's office. Officials say a woman is in custody in connection with the shooting. The sheriff's office there claimed a home in their area is related to the scene, but they didn't give specific details. The Montgomery County Sheriff only said they assisted deputies with a residence located in the county. As far as getting more details on what happened, the Brazoria County Sheriff's Office tells ABC 13 it expects to have a news conference Sunday afternoon. Reporting in Angleton, Sarah Alshake, ABC 13 Eyewitness News.
All right, so we had some things over the weekend. People were outside. So let's go ahead and check in on the weather, what it's going to be like for the rest of this week. I thought this weekend was pretty nice.
Yeah, I thought it was good weather to
Good
me.
weather.
Yeah.
So, or is that going to keep going?
It's actually going to get better there, Trenton. We actually have a little frontal system that'll move on through, but we didn't really see the rain that we were kind of looking for. It actually was a little bit farther down south there around the Nueces and Corpus Christi area, but the cloud cover did pick up from those storms there later this afternoon into the evening time. And while that southeasterly flow is continuing and the cloud cover is still persistent over Victoria County, but there's the warm front that we're talking about here. That's going to be continuing to push up northward, but we are watching for this frontal boundary to push down, help us bring in some drier air over the region. But the rain chances, well, here we are at 10 a.m. here on Monday. We start to see some isolated showers beginning to pop up there around Port Lavaca. Getting towards Jackson County, could see another isolated shower. And with that warm front continuing to push farther north, could make it all the way up towards Cuero and even farther north, closer to I-10 up north there later in the afternoon, evening time. But we do have a little bit more rain chances, and then I also have the timing on the frontal system when it comes in coming up. Maya?
A New Jersey man is in custody, charged with possessing explosive outside a church in Washington, D.C. The annual Reed Mass took place at St. Matthew's Cathedral, offering blessings to members of the Supreme Court ahead of the start of their new term on Monday. Justices often attend the service, but none were present this year. Police say officers approached Louis Gary, who had set up a tent on the church steps. He was arrested after refusing to leave. A search of his belongings turned up explosive materials. No one was hurt.
Millions of people who rely on food stamps and family aid through federal programs could be at risk of losing assistance during the government shutdown. That's because funding was cut off on September 30th.
As Jen Sullivan reports, these crucial programs are now relying on reserve funds until the government passes a new spending bill.
This is baby Zave. He's now 1.5 and thriving. But his mom, Ashley Vasquez, says that wasn't always the case.
He just didn't have an appetite and he wasn't putting on weight.
Zave was put on special nutritional drinks that his family received through WIC, federal-funded program for women, infants, and children. It provides aid to more than 6 million low-income families to help cover expenses for food, breastfeeding support, and health education. But that money could soon be at risk if the government shutdown continues.
For really young children whose sole source of nutrition may be infant formula, the loss of WIC would be absolutely devastating. because their families don't have other options.
Neil Menifee-Leiby with the National WIC Association says if the government doesn't pass a spending bill within the next 2 weeks, funding will likely run out.
That really puts us in a crisis point very quickly.
Funding for other assistance programs like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as SNAP could also be at risk. Roughly 42 million people depend on SNAP to help cover groceries. October's benefits were already sent out, but come November 1st, it's unclear whether people will receive assistance as politicians continue to debate.
Republicans refuse to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit.
This is not about health care. This is about Democrats wanting to show their progressive left base that they are fighting against Donald Trump.
Meanwhile, it leaves vulnerable parents like Ashley Vasquez unsure how they're going to pay for their families. I'm Jen Sullivan reporting.
A new Canadian study says emotional well-being is just as important as physical health for longevity. A new study from Canada says feeling happy is just as important as staying healthy if you want to live longer. Researchers studied more than 8,000 people over the age of 60 and found that 1 in 4 improved both their health and happiness in just 3 years. The biggest helpers were good friends, a positive attitude, and a healthy habit. Experts say it's important to take care of your body and your mind, and this study could change how people think about growing older. And Victoria College is celebrating several milestones this year, including with some of their educational programs.
Yes, I spoke with Dr. Joanne Settles, who has seen the growth of the nursing program as it hits 50 years of operation this year. Over 3,000 graduates have finished with their degree and moved on to be licensed nurses. But in Settles' mind, a little bit of care and tough love is what these young nurses need. Here's more. As Victoria College celebrates its 100th anniversary, the nursing program celebrates a milestone of its own. Dr. Joanne Settles saw it from its infancy.
It's been a place that has been a real home for me. I've been here with all of the existing presidents of Victoria College.
After over 3,000 graduates, the program is a featured part of the school, receiving recognition from registerednursing.com as the top nursing program in the state.
The best thing has always been able to see each student, each new group of students that comes is like a gift. Every semester I get a new gift. I get to open a box and see them sprout.
Settles has seen a lot on her journey alongside the program's growth, earning her master's in 1995 before deciding to go back to school for her doctorate after her husband's death.
Whenever there's anything that happens to anybody, we all pitch in and make it work. Just being here provides the energy, provides the stimulation and the encouragement from everybody else that's around me.
8 years and 2 bouts of Hodgkin's lymphoma later, not to mention a cancer diagnosis for her sister, and Settles earned her doctorate at 78 years old. She has shown the resilience she hopes her students carry throughout their careers.
They should be fairly competent to be able to finish out and do whatever. All the people who have come through maintain that level of expectation.
Pope Leo is calling out the rise of, quote, anti-Semitic hatred in the world. In a prayer devotional Sunday, the Pope referenced last week's synagogue attack in Manchester, England. Leo also said he continues to be saddened by the suffering of Palestinian people in Gaza. Leo, the first American pope, acknowledged that some significant steps have been taken in ceasefire negotiations. He said he hopes those talks would achieve the desired results as soon as possible.
The Victoria County Commissioner Court meets Monday, October 6 at 10 a.m. in the county courthouse. On the agenda, commissioners will discuss an agreement with the Sheriff's Office for the School Resource Officers Program in the Victoria and Bloomington School District. The court will also consider approval of a border crisis response resolution. Court meetings are on the second floor of the courthouse at 115 North Bridge Street.
A quick update for those summoned for jury duty. The jury scheduled for Monday, October 6th at 8:30 a.m. in the Victoria County Courthouse has been canceled. Officials say this session will not be rescheduled.
Texans may be earning more, but how does their paycheck stack up against the rest of the country? All this and more coming up.
And temperatures today were a bit warm, 93 degrees, but the average 87. It could be worse, could be 101, or it could be better. We're at 49 back in 1975. But we got a little frontal system on the way, and I'll be talking about that when we come back.
Are seeing an increase in wages, according to a report from ADP. The company found that job stayers in the state saw their pay increase 4.2% from last September to this year. However, the growth rate ranks 45 in the nation for wage growth. The report also found that the national average of wage growth was at 4.5% for people who stayed at their jobs. People who changed jobs saw their wages grow an average of 6.6%.
After a judge blocked President Trump's efforts to deploy Oregon National Guard troops to Portland, the president now ordering 300 members of the California National Guard to the city instead, according to Governor Gavin Newsom.
Those troops were called up months ago because of unrest in Los Angeles. Now, something Governor Newsom says never required them to be deployed in the first place. Here's ABC's senior White House correspondent Selena Wang with the latest.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked President Trump's plan to federalize the Oregon National Guard for deployment to Portland.
Will you follow the judge's order in Portland?
We're going to look at that. It was amazing. Portland is burning to the ground, and you've seen it. The place is burning down, and they pretend like there's nothing happening.
The judge, who was appointed by Trump, saying the administration's description about chaos in Portland is simply untethered to the facts, and the president likely exceeded his authority under the Constitution. In response, the president appealing the judge's ruling and also is now deploying 300 federally controlled members of California's National Guard to Portland instead. That's according to California Governor Gavin Newsom, who's pledging to fight the move in court, accusing Trump of using the U.S. military as a political weapon against American citizens. The White House responding, saying President Trump has exercised his lawful authority to protect federal assets and personnel in Portland. Meanwhile, tensions boiling over in Chicago. On Saturday, ICE agents shot and injured a woman they say was armed after federal officials say they were rammed by vehicles and boxed in by 10 cars. The incident sparking more protests in the city after days of demonstrations against Trump's immigration crackdown. Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker continues to push back against the president's plan to send 300 National Guard troops to Chicago, criticizing ICE operations, telling CNN
they're raiding neighborhoods where instead of going after the bad guys, they're just picking up people who are brown and black and then checking their credentials. Are you a U.S. citizen?
The White House telling ABC News the troops are necessary to protect federal officers and assets, and that Trump won't, quote, turn a blind eye to the lawlessness plaguing American cities. Selena Wang, ABC News, the White House.
California Governor Gavin Newsom says he will sue the Trump administration after it federalized 300 California National Guard troops and sent them to Oregon. The move comes as a day after a judge blocked Trump's attempt to deploy Oregon's own guard to Portland. Newsom called the deployment a breathtaking abuse of power. The White House confirmed the transfer, and Oregon's governor says more troops are on the way. The Trump administration has now filed an emergency motion to keep Guard troops in Oregon.
Tuesday marks 2 years since the Hamas attack on Israel that sparked the war in Gaza. Now there's renewed hope that the remaining hostages could soon be released.
Hamas and Israel have both agreed to President Trump's proposal to end the war, but the details of the deal are still being negotiated. Here's ABC's Chuck Silverston with the latest.
As he left the White House this morning, President Trump saying indirect talks between Israel and Hamas to end the war have already begun.
They're in negotiation right now as we speak. They've started the negotiation. It'll last a couple of days. We'll see how it turns out, but I'm hearing it's going very well.
Negotiations between Israel and Hamas are set to take place Monday in Egypt. The White House says special diplomat Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner will be part of the U.S. team at those talks. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says this is the closest we've come to getting the hostages released, but acknowledged this is not yet a done deal.
There's a lot of pitfalls along the way. There's some work to be done here. And our hope is that by the time our team gets to Cairo, 90% of this has been worked out and we're just sort of finalizing the logistical piece.
Hamas has agreed in principle to release all the remaining hostages alive or dead, though adding it would only free them if there are proper field conditions, saying they're ready to negotiate the details. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says he hopes to announce the release of all remaining hostages from the Gaza Strip in the coming days. Thousands of demonstrators gathered in Tel Aviv with one message: it's now or never.
We cannot let another deal collapse.
Former hostage Keith Siegel has been advocating for the remaining hostages since his release 8 months ago. He described his 484 days of captivity.
I spent time in tunnels, suffocating 130 feet underground, gasping for our breath, left alone there with very, very little food. I witnessed violence and cruelty.
But while Hamas has agreed to some of Trump's 20-point proposal, there has been no mention of the group disarming, as the president demanded, and there are questions about just how that would happen and who would oversee it. Chuck Severson, ABC News.
We're learning about a recall involving a popular treat for dogs. Best Buy Bones, based out of Michigan, is recalling some of its Nature's Own Pet Chews Bully Bites. The treats come in 16-ounce bags and have an expiration date of September 2027. Authorities say the treats may be contaminated with salmonella. The virus can sicken dogs and people who handle the treats. So far, no one has reported getting sick. The treats were distributed from Minnesota and sold in stores in Wisconsin. The company says anyone who may have the treats should throw them away or return them to the store where they were bought for a refund.
Experience our digital streaming service, Crossroads Today Plus. Stream our daily newscasts and much more using your connected TV. Just download Crossroads Today Plus on your Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Apple TV, or Android TV. Search Crossroads Today Plus.
Well, when we come back, we're going to take a look at the tropics, plus what our weather's going to be looking like for this week. Welcome back, Crossroads. Watching the Atlantic right now, 70% chance of development here within the system here over the next 7 days. This could be our next named storm, which would be the J, which is Jerry here, but it's got a little bit of work to do. Within 48 hours, it's got a 50% chance, but I think it'll be a little bit more extended towards that time frame before we see some more development. Out in the Pacific, however, we got more development as well. We got Priscilla as a hurricane right now. Yesterday it was a tropical storm. Now it is a Category 1 hurricane with 75-mile-per-hour winds. And we also have Hurricane Octave at 85-mile-per-hour winds out west of that as well there in the Pacific. But we also have some development just south of Mexico here, 60% development over the next 7 days. If it becomes anything within that 7 days, it'll be named Raymond. There is actually no Q name for the Pacific hurricane season. But what happened to that little area in the Gulf there? It was marked right there just a little while ago. Well, there it is right now. By Monday, 7 a.m., it'll be continuing to move onshore, and we can already see some outer bands of moisture getting ready to pull in for us here. As a warm front will kind of help bring up some of that shower activity for us here for Monday. But as well as Tuesday, we start to see some more cloudier conditions picked up in the morning time, and we start to see some very isolated to spotty per se activity here by Tuesday 5 p.m. with some mid-upper level winds kind of helping it steer down south there. But once that moves on out of here, we have high pressure that's going to be building back up over us, and it's looking like it's going to be a little bit warmer than normal here for us. I know it's been warm this weekend, but the heat index is actually going to be going up for us here. I'm talking getting close to triple digits what the feels like temperature will be for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But we look at Thursday and Friday, we see a nice area of dry air starting to move in. So about Wednesday into Thursday, we've got a little dry frontal system that'll push in, bring back some drier air later this week, and hopefully cool us down here just a little bit. But we got the 6th and the 7th coming up the next 2 days. We got the Hunter's Moon, also known as the Harvest Moon here. This is going to be our first supermoon of the year. We'll see another supermoon in November, December, as well as January. But typically, this is what hunters use to extend their hunting hours, just because of how bright it was there for October. But for your daily planner, partly cloudy skies. We're keeping about 20% chance for some rain here. Southeasterly winds will pick up there in the afternoon time. So you may want to just bring a little umbrella just in case you get that little spotty shower that rolls on northward. As well as Cuero getting a little partly cloudy skies as well, where we could see that 20% chance for some rain. But temperatures are going to be relatively warm still. 92 degrees with a 100-degree heat index likely across the crossroads. Port Lavaca may get a little bit warmer than that as well, but still possibly a spotty shower in the morning for them as well. 20% Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We've got the frontal system moving in. That'll alter the 20% there for Thursday. Nice little cool down, 65 in the morning. I've been missing that, I'm not going to lie. But we'll continue to watch as this frontal system as it makes its way down towards Texas. Now don't forget to scan the QR code for more news, weather, and sports. And speaking of sports, we got Ray.
Thank you, Jacob. Taking a break from the football and talking cross country. See how things are going for the St. Joseph High School cross country team and more coming up in sports. Beyond the thrill of high school football and volleyball, cross country is quickly becoming a favorite among local athletes. 25 News Now sports director Max Williams swung by St. Joseph High School to catch the latest on their recent wins and what's fueling their momentum.
With football and volleyball taking over the majority of what we're talking about here this fall, one sport we haven't talked about as much is cross country. And one school that's been doing very well is St. Joseph High School, and they don't look to back down this fall. St. Joseph High School cross country has been a staple program here in the Crossroads, bringing in top runners from either junior high or the high school ranks. Perfect example of this is runner Blaine McCamey, who this year has won 7 gold medals at 7 meets, including 11-minute 53 second 2-mile run at the Shiner Invitational. He credits his form and his strategy for his dominance.
To tell myself before a race to keep form, because even if I'm not doing as well in the race, if I keep my form, then it'll keep me where I am.
McCamey trains with the high school team for either the morning practice at 6 a.m. or the evening practice at 6 p.m. This present started from St. Joseph cross country head coach in Stephen Jones, who started up the junior flyer program.
We started our junior flyer program only about 4 years ago. I started it up because I noticed that there was a great deal of interest amongst the middle schoolers and junior high students about getting into distance running.
One current runner is freshman Sonny Taylor, who was part of the junior fly program last year, and highlights some of the differences from the middle school to the high school level.
The junior high program and ran for St. Joe, so I kind of knew what was expected running for St. Joe, but it's been different now going to St. Joe and being fully a part of the team.
Having all ages compete in different cross-country levels at St. Joe brings a sense of validity for the team. One runner and junior co-captain Cecilia Oliveira looks to motivate the team, especially on long runs.
Something I enjoy doing is helping motivate my team, on hard runs where we have long intervals or hard hills. We'll usually get discouraged by the rigor of the workouts.
In all, back to McCamey, he looks to end the season strong and get the best time of the year.
So that I can have an undefeated season. Never had that before. I want to get a really good time at District 2. I want to try to get my best time.
As you can see, St. Joseph High School and junior high teams look to be ready to start up districts next week. This is Max Williams, KVU TV 25, News Now Sports.
All right, thank you, Max. And the Dallas Cowboys took on the New York Jets, and it was a great showing for the Cowboys on the road today as Javonte Williams explodes through the middle of the Jets defense on his way to a 1st and goal. And there you see him getting a few more yards. And it was a push to the outsides that stopped this play from being a touchdown. But the drive was only temporary. The following play sees Prescott dump it off to Jake Ferguson for a Cowboys touchdown. Dak finished with 237 yards as the Cowboys win it. Final score, 37-22. The Houston Texans also were showcased on the road today. They took on the Baltimore Ravens, and their first drive was a successful one. After completing a 1st and goal, C.J. Stroud then fakes it and then tosses it over to Xavier Hutchinson for the first touchdown of the game. The Texans had their way with the Ravens without Lamar Jackson. Stroud finished with 244 yards and 4 touchdowns as well. The Texans get their first win of the season. They'll play the Seahawks on the 20th of October. Next week is their bye week. But that does it for your sports. Amaya?
Thank you, Ray. Book lovers, this one is for you. Why Sunday is National Bookshop Day is the perfect excuse to grab a new read and support your local shop. Coming up. On occasion, and for all the proud bookworms out there, is National Bookshop Day. The celebration started across the pond in England. It's a time to kick off the fall book selling season and the release of new books ahead of the holiday. It's also a good day for bookshops owners to host parties, book signings, and other events at their stores. According to nationaltoday.com, upwards of 1,000 bookshops nationwide participates in Bookshop Day.
Well, that's pretty cool. You know, Barnes & Nobles. I've been reading a lot more, actually, recently.
Really?
Yeah.
What book are you on now?
So I'm a fiction guy. You know, I read through like a little cop detective mystery story.
Oh,
so
you like mystery stories?
I like a little mystery. I've been going to the public library, Victoria Public Library. So, you know, I've been enjoying myself. Getting back into reading. Yeah, absolutely. We'll see how long it goes.
Do you guys have any, type of books that you guys read or
I like to read, like I said, in the 5:30, I like to read a little bit of realistic fiction, but I also like to read mangas and comic books. So, you know, I don't know if that counts as like an actual book, but,
I'll take it.
you know,
Yeah,
the
you're reading
pictures is
something.
kind of, you know, captivating.
Yeah, you're reading something, you know?
Absolutely.
I'm more of like a, it's going to be so cringy. I'm more of like a romance type person. I mean, I don't know.
I could have guessed.
Why is you reading?
Is tomorrow going to be some good reading weather for the rest of us as we
It
read?
depends on what you like with reading weather. Inside, you may get a little shower. I know people like to read when it rains, so you might get that one little shower that rolls over your house. If you like reading outside, it could be quite nice as well, but it's going to be a bit warm. It's going to feel like 100 degrees tomorrow as well in the afternoon, but we do have a little frontal system, and it'll kind of cool us down for the morning, for the weekend, so it's something we can look forward to.
Yes. Well, thank you for joining us, and remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads, today, and join Carolina Estrain and Parker Cox for 25 News Now Sunrise at 5 a.m.